See our soft drugs, they see the freedom we have here, and we were sure that they would like that. Oh yes, they would like our freedom.
And they didn't?
They didn't. They were ashamed. They thought we were very decadent, and we are.
I'm proud of it.
And very proud of it. Very proud of it.
Islam, as you may be aware, takes a dim view of decadence. And so here we have liberal Holland in conflict with socially conservative Dutch Islam. It's hardly surprising that integration finds little favour in some parts of Holland's Muslim community.
We think we must preserve our Arab identity. We are Arab nationalists. We believe in preserving our religion, our language, having knowledge of our history and culture.
But Holland has a very different culture to the one which the Arabs have. Don't you feel it incumbent upon yourselves to fit in, to integrate to part of the indigenous culture?
We don't believe in integration whatsoever. Integration is a concept invented by some politicians, and it is like forced on us. I am a citizen here, but I want to be respected as a citizen here, so I can be a Muslim, I can be an Arab, and a Dutch citizen.
But after Van Hoch's murder, many people in Holland have come to the conclusion that such a combination is no longer possible in this divided society.
When they first came in then, how should Dutch politicians have effectively made those Muslim immigrants Dutch?
First, education, 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 and not education in Arabic, but education in Dutch. Everything in the language is, I think, most important. Because when you do speak a language, you can do everything you want to. Actually, we have to learn them, what freedom is, and what democracy is. Freedom of thinking, freedom of speech. What does that really mean?
Holland has paid the price of allowing its immigrant community free rein to do what the hell they want, even if what they are doing is fundamentally opposed to its liberal democratic values. And it's a price that we could pay back home too.
Of course, for the past 40 years, just as in Holland, Britain has been a multicultural society. Immigrants weren't encouraged to integrate, but to keep their own cultures and norms. Anyone who disagreed with the prevalent ideology was seen as being, frankly, rather beyond the pale.
And the man who was first to question the misguided belief in multiculturalism faced the fury of political activists and the loss of his livelihood.
A mob instinct took over. It became very fierce, I'm afraid. I was going to school in the morning through a line of police officers.
Back in the 1980s, when multiculturalism was the unquestioned paradigm, one man put his hand up and said the country was going in the wrong direction. Ray Hunniford was a head teacher at Drummond Middle School in Bradford, a school with a high proportion of Muslim children. He wanted children to be taught about Britishness. He was hounded out of his job for possessing the simple conviction that children from all backgrounds should be treated equally.
The local education authority was very sold on this idea of schools being vehicles to transmit a kind of anti-racist perspective in all your subjects, from physics to needlework, which I thought was nonsense. We were there to teach children that they were British children and they were going to have a British education in a British school.
Hunniford didn't want Muslim children taken out of school for ages while their parents visited relatives abroad. He didn't want bilingual lessons, and, if you can believe this, he expected Muslim girls to learn to swim.
The girls, of course, went swimming by themselves. There were no boys there. The instructor was a lady, but a lot of the parents are unhappy about this. And I do recall an occasion when a man came to see me and he said, "What are you doing to my little girl?" Which, as an opening conversation, was quite frightening. I wonder that's what my staff had been up to, perhaps, you know. And he said, "You're teaching her to swim." And I said, "Yes, that is true. And we insist that she learns to swim." And we discussed it. He said, "It's against my religion." Now, I'm no Quranic scholar, but I happen to know there's nothing in the Quran that says little girls can't be taught to swim. I said to him, "Look, on this issue, at home, you're the boss. Here in school, I'm the boss."
In return for his principled stand and some articles he wrote in the press, Ray Hungerford became the bête noire of the left. Demonstrators picketed his school. Muslim children boycotted their lessons. There was a campaign to have him kicked out.
A mob instinct took over. He became very fierce, I'm afraid. I was going to school in the morning through a line of police officers. They used to line the children up outside the school, and each child would hold up a letter, and it was saying something like, "Hungerford is a racist." So in the end, they were threatening to sort of invade the school, occupy the school. It would have made life totally impossible. And so in the end, I agreed to go. Technically, I resigned. In reality, of course, I was sacked. And that was that.
And haven't worked since?
No. Not in teaching, no.
Ray Hungerford was a victim of the times, a victim of what was then a fervent belief in the rightness of one, ultimately misguided approach towards our immigrant communities.
This was a time, remember, when the Commission for Racial Equality was able to inform us all, without fear of contradiction, that Chinese people were black. Nowadays, things have changed, and most people seem to be agreed that Ray Hungerford was right all along, including the Commission for Racial Equality.
In a quite remarkable volte-face for the CRE, its current boss, Trevor Phillips, now says that multiculturalism is no longer relevant to present-day Britain. Instead, he wants immigrants to learn about a core of Britishness. He's in good company. When he was Home Secretary, David Blunkett also called on migrants to develop an understanding of our language, democracy and culture.
So it would be nice to think that some of those people who hounded Ray Hungerford from the job which he loved might now offer up an apology on bended knee.
The citizenship ceremony is a rite of passage that formally welcomes those who wish to join us into full citizenship of the United Kingdom.
So today we've got something called a citizenship ceremony, like this one in Brent.
Common civic values. Now, to be a British citizen means that you should show tolerance and respect for others and be a faithful citizen.
Behind this about-turn are things intrinsic to today's Islam, of whatever strain, that are inimical to our 21st century way of life. The West is becoming more liberal and decadent. Islam is becoming more conservative and dogmatic. The two communities are moving in different directions.
I'm becoming a good citizen.
I will bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Well, citizenship badges are little more than a decorative irrelevancy, unless we can convince the people who come here to shed their allegiance to a belief system which has little time for democracy, freedom of conscience and equality.
We need to teach new immigrants the values that underpin our democracy: freedom of speech, equality of the sexes, respect for other religions and creeds. And maybe couple that with a 5-year good service probationary period for newcomers.
You may still think, having heard all this, that the overwhelming moral imperative is for unlimited mass immigration, all of which is fine, just so long as you know what you're giving up as a result.